Yo, what is going on, guys? It's your boy AA on 2 for 20, bring you guys my BBL Week 9 game versus DS Gaming coach of the Burmingham Vulpix. I want to make a few quick point outs before, or I guess revisions, before we start this game. Number one, I would like to just openly point out first and foremost that the team is no longer the Dunkingdra Donuts. I forgot to mention this last video. We actually changed our team name, as you'll see in the title. I realized it actually when I was uploading the Week 8 game, and then I fell asleep uploading it, and then it ended up going up at Wednesday morning, aka today morning, instead, because I woke up at like 1 o'clock at night, and I was like, oh, you know, I forgot to actually put this game up. So, the name in that title is going to be the same, but the name in this title shall be fixed, because I fixed the logo in the thumbnail. We're actually the Dunkingdras now, because we stand with hashtag Dunkin' Donuts, aka Dunkin' now, as they have decided to sadly change their name in the middle of my season. I do not approve of it, but I'm going to go with it. So, point two, I would also like to point out that I'm going to, unlike this morning video said, I'm going to hold off on my update. I'm going to hold off on it until I get all my BBL stuff up, because then I could just end with BBL anyway. And also because I accidentally deleted it, but that's besides the point. And the final revision is, Mike actually DM'd me while I was asleep this morning, while my BBL game was already up, saying that we are actually going to be playing tonight. So this game will actually be up before I play my game with Mike, because I'm going to be recording this, getting it up, then I'm going to be building with Leo for my NPL game this week, and then I'm going to be streaming my game versus Mike tonight at some point after 9 PM EST. What time that will be, I cannot guarantee or deny anything, but the allegations are that I'm going to be playing Mike at some point after 9 PM EST tonight. So that's that, I guess. I guess I'll also go into the team real quick. That we, even though these trades don't actually pick up until week 12, I'm going to go into my team for that game, just so you guys are all aware of it. Actually, I'll go into that at the time. Anyway, though, let's get into the actual game you guys clicked on for, though, because that's what's more important now. So my opponent, DS, he brings Donwings to Crozma with the Z move, Reshiram, Terrakion, Scizor, Donphan, Jolteon, Alolan Muck, Whimsicott with the Z move, Mandibuzz, Blastoise, and Regice. A couple things to note. One is that Regice is actually a little bit scary for this team. While I do have ways around it, it can at the very least switch into Palkia, which having a switch into Palkia is actually really dangerous for any team, just because being able to be switching into my best mon on the team means that I can't get kills. And if I can't get kills, then who's going to get kill leader on the MVP board? Because clearly, that had to not be Palkia this season. Grr, everyone who stopped that. Also, I forgot to mention I'm a little sick, don't mind me. But anyway, though, first up, we have Diancie this week. Our Calm Nature Shuckaberry Diancie with Stealth Rock, Trick Room, Earth Power, Toxic. I believe I brought Shuckaberry to get off Rock's Guarantee versus Donphan. Also helps with Donwings to Crozma should get to that, as I don't think he's going to bring Flash Cannon, as I'm still weak to ground anyway, and ground hits my team really well. I brought Toxic, just toxic things like the Reshiram, the Donwings, etc. This is also my primary switch into Reshiram, as I can... It's the only mon that can really even take it on 1v1, I guess. I also do have Trick Room, because Trick Room actually helps a lot versus his team, to be honest. And this spread can actually take on a lot of his mons in Trick Room really well. Next up, I have Belgerwoe, our Palkia, with Trick Room, with Timid Nature, with Hydro Pump, Thunder, Spatial Rend, and Earth Power. This is mainly meant to outspeed, I believe, he had something base 90, that's what the EVs would have been for. What it would be, oh yeah, Reshiram is base 90, that's what it is, duh. Okay, so this is mainly meant to outspeed Reshiram. Spatial Rend will just do really solid damage versus the rest of the team. Earth Power hits things like Jolteon, and it still hits really well versus Reshiram, and I didn't really need another move. Hydro Pump, his team really doesn't have good switches to besides the fucking Regice. And Thunder hits really well versus the Blastoise, as Blastoise was, in my opinion, probably going to be his primary switch-in. So yeah, that's really it for Belgerwoe this week. Next up, we got Fruit Hoops, our Hoopa Unbound, with Nasty Plot, Psychic, Thunderbolt, and Dark Pulse. His team really only has, for a switch-in, being Regice. I should have brought Slash Shock for that reason, but hindsight 2020, I guess. Next up, we have Bridgestone, our Scolipede, with Gradium Z with Spikes, Baton Pass, and Protect, and Earthquake. I have Gradium Z because that allows me to do a ton of damage to Reshiram. After Rocks, I should be able to Oko. Spikes are really solid versus his team. Baton Pass into Palkia, that's literally it. Also Baton Pass into Hoopa, but let's face it, we always go into Palkia. And I believe finally, no, not finally, next up we have Arceus-Fire with Judgment, Calm Mind, Refresh, and Recover. This Arceus spread actually kind of puts in a lot of work. Because if we can kill the Blastoise, this set actually like auto wins. We can recover up on Donphan if it's not really offensive. If we get to +1, nothing on his team can actually break us specially, and his team is so special offensive. His physical mons are Terrakion. Oh yeah, Terrakion's another mon I also gotta kill. But luckily for us, I don't even think he brought Terrakion into this game. I honestly can't remember. It's been way too long. But we have Judgment, which hits everything besides like the Terrakion and the Blastoise really well. And I guess Reshiram too, but Reshiram can't actually beat us 1v1 unless he's physical with Earthquake. And even then, he would need to be like really physically offensive because otherwise we can still recover up on his Earthquake anyway. And yeah, once we get to +1, we like auto win the game, assuming that Terrakion and Blastoise are gone. And finally, we have Mega Mawile with the Sassy Nature with Play Rough, Sucker Punch, Fire Fang, and Sub. Fire Fang is mainly meant that way that we don't have another incident where we're losing to a Scizor form with our Mega Mawile. We have Play Off and Sucker Punch because it's really all the coverage we need. Also, it helps with revenging off Dawn Wings. And we have the subs, that way then we could potentially sub up as he switches around us, as I don't anticipate he's going to stay in with Dawn Wings versus us, as he knows that if he's not Culver Berry, he's going to get bopped. And if he takes some chip damage, even with a ton of attack boostingness we still should break through it really easily as long as he takes a little bit of chip first. So especially with the spikes, that'll help a lot with getting chip on the Dawn Wings. I feel like though that Mega Mawile overall could be a potential win con, if not Arceus-Fire. And also Mega Mawile helps a lot with breaking things like Terrakion, because we can Intimidate it first, then Mega Evolve, and then just get a free player versus his team. Should he switch into Scizor or Donphan, we switch around really easily into pretty much anything else, and Scizor, I just Fire Fang. So that's really it for the team though this week, and let's get right into the match. And as you can see, my opponent brings the Blastoise, Jolteon. He does bring a Terrakion, my bad. I didn't think he brought that. He brings the Dawn Wings, the Donphan, and the Regice. So right off the bat, I do notice a couple things. One, my DNC spread is essentially useless this week, as I do have a ton of answers to Dawn Wings, and that was really the only other thing I need Sugar Berry for. So I can actually play ridiculously recklessly with DNC, as I really only need DNC for rocks this week. Another thing also is that I do have Scolipede as well, who is going to be a lot more of a win con than I thought, as Palkia will blow back this team entirely, besides the Regice. He did bring the Regice though, which is actually a little bit scary, as I'm going to need to play around that first before a Palkia sweep. So, first week that there's ever been that issue. But overall though, I do think this will be a really solid game. In terms of DS's leads, I really only anticipate 2, which is the first time I can say that in a while. I only anticipate either the A, he's going to lead off with the Donphan, or B, the Jolteon. He actually decides to lead off with neither, however, and he leads off with Crush, which was actually really weird for me, in my opinion, to see. However, it's fine, as DNC lead still isn't that bad versus Crush at all, as I can play really recklessly with it, having there not be a Reshiram on my screen. He goes for the Scald here, perfectly fine by me. I don't mind taking this chip damage at all, as I'm going to get the Toxic off, which is going to be extremely vital to the late game success of our team, because having Blastoise worn down means that Arceus-Fire could do a ton of work, assuming that we can clear through this Terrakion as well. So, he's going to take some poison damage, of course. I am just going to stay in and just take advantage of this Blastoise, as it's extremely easy to take advantage of, in my opinion. And I'm going to go for the Trick Room here, because I'm going to be guaranteed to get up rocks here, as I saw from the first turn. I underspeed this Blastoise, which means that Trick Room rocks are going to be guaranteed. Also, having myself sack off my DNC means it's more turns that this Blastoise is going to take some chip damage versus me. And it also means that because I am sassy with the minus speed nature, I'm actually going to be able to not only sub up on this Blastoise, but if he's not offensive, I'm going to actually be able to keep my sub up versus it. Now, if he's offensive Blastoise, by any means, he does have at the very least a roll, if not a guaranteed chance, to break our sub, which can actually be a little bit scary, because it's just free HP that we have now lost that he has gained on us. However, it's not the biggest deal in the world, as at the very least, I'm going to be gaining something out of it, as he's going to be putting himself more in range of a player off, which is actually really nice for our team, having him take more damage from Toxic, because depending on his spread, it was a roll here to kill with player off. However, after the next Toxic, it would be guaranteed. And had I just went for play off here instead of the sub, he could have potentially gotten off a Scald Burn versus me had he lived, and that would have been very detrimental to Mega Mawile's success later on in the game. So, we are going to be getting up the sub, and he is going to break it, as we can see here. However, it's not going to be in vain, as we are going to be pretty guaranteed to just break him now at this point with player off. As you can see, he's below half. I think at most, with a Viz Def spread, he could have taken like 58%, or 68%, I should say. So it wasn't that big of a deal, just pretty much taking that free damage at this point. He is going to Donphan here, which isn't that big of a deal, as I'm pretty freely able to get up a sub here because either A, I scout and see that he goes for Earthquake, or B, he gets up Rocks, and that means that I get free damage versus the Donphan next turn. So, seeing here that he does go for the Earthquake, that being his play, that is perfectly fine, as I am able to play around this pretty freely at this point, as I do anticipate he's probably going to just keep going for the Earthquake and just try and kill off my Mega Mawile, as it is a pretty big threat to him, not going to lie. So, I'm going to switch out here, seeing as that is his play, and I'm going to go into Bridgestone here, as Bridgestone I know can take at least one Earthquake, and now that Trick Room is gone, I should be able to pretty freely take advantage of this Donphan here. So, as you can see here, we are going to take some nice damage from the Earthquake, but it's not going to be enough to kill us. So, I'm going to see that he is going to withdraw his Donphan here, and he's going to go into the Old Boy, which ends up being his Jolteon, which is perfectly fine by me. I figured that my play here was Groundium Z, because had he stayed in there, I could have broken Donphan to the point where I could actually start taking advantage of it with Arceus, as I didn't anticipate he'd just want to let Arceus kill him off for free. I figured that Donphan could have still been a really solid check, however, and I thought that maybe his switch-in would have been... I don't know what his switch-in would have been, to be honest. I figured maybe Regice, if anything, if not Donphan just staying in there, and I could either break through Donphan really easily, or I could just kill whatever his switch-in is. He ends up actually sacking Jolteon here, which is perfectly fine by me, as I'm able to at the very least get a +1 speed off, which is actually really nice for our team. It does suck that we burned our Groundium Z a little bit, as now we can't necessarily break through the Donphan really easily. However, it's not the biggest deal in the world, as I am able to still play around this really easily and just go for an Earthquake. He does have to kill me off here, because otherwise I'm going to be able to get up a ton of chip versus his Donphan, which is really, really bad for Donphan had it taken a lot of chip damage. So, he is going to Earthquake and kill us off here, which is pretty expected, but at the very least he is now still not keeping up his Rocks versus us, which is probably the best case scenario for me, him not having Rocks up versus my team. Because things like Arceus-Fire do not want to just take Rocks damage and then be a lot more worn down for later on. So, I'm going to bring in my Hoopa and Bound here, as I don't anticipate he having any reason to stay in versus me. However, of course, he does stay in. And I click Nasty Ball here because I didn't think he'd stay in. He does go for the Earthquake here, however, but because of our bulk, this doesn't guarantee kill. And as you can see here, we actually do take that fairly okay for an Earthquake, considering how low our defense is. So, at this point, he doesn't really have any switch-ins. Even Regice is going to be taking a lot of damage from this at this point because of the Rocks up. So, as you can see, Regice does come in here, and we're just going to click Dark Pulse at this point. So, Dark Pulse, as you can see, does a ton of damage to this Regice. We should be able to actually kill with another Dark Pulse, which is great for us, because now Palkia is actually in range to be a win con. So, literally, Ice does die here, perfectly fine, because Fruit Hoops is claim the kill versus the most important mon to kill at this point. He does bring in OP Necrozma here, which is perfectly fine by me. I know the only reason he'd bring this in is if it's Scarf, because at +2, there's no way he would take a hit otherwise. So, we do sack Fruit Hoops at this point. However, I didn't really think it was worth it playing around this thing. I figured just get a kill versus whatever you need to, and then I can bring in my mon that's going to actually do some damage. Because I know for a fact a Scarf Earth Power from Necrozma does not do shit to my team. And I'm just going to bring in Bulgerwo here. He's going to have to withdraw, which is very unfortunate for him having to try and switch around this thing. And he's going to go into his Donphan, which is perfectly fine by me. I'm just going to click Hydro Pump here, because going for Hydro Pump is going to do a ton of damage versus this Donphan. And as you can see, Donphan, of course, is going to die. Now all he has left is Terrakion and his Necrozma, which is pretty free for me, of course, to play around. He's going to bring in Goliath, his Terrakion here, which, as I said, perfectly fine by me. And he does have Air Balloon here, which is actually really solid. This does force me to click Hydro Pump instead of going for Earth Power, which would have probably killed anyway at this point, unless he was really Spadef. But regardless, though, I do hit the Hydro Pump. We crit anyway, but it really doesn't matter. There's no way Terrakion would have lived unless it was Pasho Berry. But we are going to be putting ourselves in a little bit of a position here, as this Necrozma could potentially actually come in and kill us with the fucking signature move, Moongeist Beam. Or at the very least, it could end up 2-hit KOing us. Depending on his spread, he's probably going to 2-hit KO us, but of course a crit would end up killing, depending on how much offense he had and like natures and all that. So he goes for the move here, and of course, we're now in a position where we have a chance to preserve differential. So I'm going to go into the one true god here, the only OP mon on this field, Arceus Burn, our Arceus, as we're going to be able to make sure that is a guaranteed 3-hit KO from the Moongeist Beam, which is very good for us actually. Had he went for Earth Power, that could have been a 2-hit KO, and then we would have had to sack something at that point. But luckily for us, as you see here, we're going to make sure there's a guaranteed 3-hit KO. He would need to crit us at this point, and if he does crit us, that's actually very dangerous because Palkia wouldn't be able to take a hit anymore. And then our last Mon ends up being Mega Mawile, who actually still kills anyway now that I think about it, and he would be in range no matter what. But regardless though, Arceus Burn is going to save us the differential points this game and go for the Judgment here. And going for the Judgment here, of course, does preserve the 3-0 differential win versus DS Gaming, coach of the Burmingham Vulpix. So we're now currently 5-3 going into next game. Actually, I think we're 6-3 going. Yeah, we're 6-3 going into next game. This game being versus Blue, coach of the San Diego State Azels. This was a really fun game to play, guys, versus Blue. I have been dreaming about playing Blue ever since like week 4 when I kept getting so many people spamming me in the BBL server saying the Blues team was way too OP, that he shouldn't have been allowed to draft this team. And boy, I know a lot of you guys saw this game on stream already. I'm going to post-com this game specifically just because this game still, I really went try hard for this game because it was my game to clinch playoffs. For my meme games, I'm just going to upload the streams because they're meme games, and I mean, there wasn't really any logic to them, I guess. And the streams will just better capture those games. But my game versus Blue, I really want to just upload the post-com for. So we'll be uploading that tomorrow, guys. Probably around like 7 or 8, depending on how lazy I get. But regardless, though, if you guys did enjoy this game, leave a like down below. Make sure to subscribe to all the BBL coaches. And until next time, I will see you guys later. Peace out.